All right, so what you're looking at here is the Mini Sailor from Nextool. It's a multi-tool, it's a mini multi-tool that has a huge amount of functionality. When you open it up, it ends up looking something like this. So this is the completely opened up version of it. It's got a really nice pair of scissors, a nice pair of pliers, and 4 different blades here. There were some issues with these and some other things that were on that people were upset about. I was kind of upset about the file, which I think was ridiculous on this thing because it doesn't work at all. But they are pretty damn good. Nextool is very good at listening to their customers and redoing things. And after that, they came out with this. So this is the Nextool F12. They went over the top on this, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. This thing is phenomenal. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the weights of these. So there's actually 2 different versions of the original. One was the skeleton version, and the other one had scales on it as well. So I think Nextool claims that the weight of the new F12 version, which is this one, is actually lighter than the original. That doesn't seem to be the case. The only difference there is if you compare this to the older version with the scales, it weighs more. I mean, the older version weighs more. So let's take a look at that right now. Grams, and we'll drop this on here. And so this is 83 grams. And then the skeleton version of the original version is 79 grams. And then the new F12 version is 79 grams. So this is maybe a little tiny bit on the border, but these two seem to weigh the same as far as my scale goes. And it's just the old version with the scales on it is the one that weighs more. So let's do a comparison now of the tools. So the big deal here, the big difference between these two now is the steel used for the primary blade. So the old steel here was a 5CR15 MOV steel, and the new steel on the new F12 is 8CR14 MOV. So a significant increase in the hardness and the strength of the steel between these 2 blades. They do have a pierced blade here so that you can open the blade easily. And there's also a liner lock, which is very, very significant. This is absolutely phenomenal. So you just, decrease your finger on there, press it down, and you can close the blade very easily. So it's very nice. There's also a liner lock on the file, and I'll show you that later, but there is absolutely no liner lock on this current blade, on the old original model. So yeah, a big, big deal in the difference between the 2 steels for the primary blades on these 2. All right, plus the liner lock. That's huge. So let's open this up a little bit further here, and we'll flip over to the other side, and we'll pop open the file. Now, I had a huge complaint about this file. The file to me on the older blades, on some of their more compact knives, multi-tools, was just ridiculous. It's like, it was not, these are ridiculous. This is like, it rolls over. It's almost like it's polishing your thumbnail rather than taking it down. So on these things, I really did not like the old way that the files work. They've changed that substantially. You can also see that the size of the files is different. So this is the original, and this is the F12. This is the newer version. Very significant. You actually have almost like a really nice little screwdriver to go here, whereas before you were using a micro type screwdriver. But yeah, this is really nice, and the file is phenomenal. It grinds down very, very easily on both sides. You don't get that same effect with this one. It's just like it just rolls over your nail. Little bit better on this side, but nowhere near the effectiveness that you had on this file. And then a liner lock. So you could probably get an adapter for this to be able to put 4mm bits on this thing as well. So this might be able to be used as a driver, especially now that you've got a liner lock on this. There's some really interesting possibilities here that I might pursue in future videos, but I'd like to see if I could do that. But the liner lock is great, works great, press down, flip it over, and let's see, get the click here. So yeah, it, it definitely has a very positive feedback on the liner lock. Very nice. So, all right, let's go over to the next thing. Let's pop this over here. And we're going to go to the very, very cool new scissors on this. Now, it's serrated. This bottom blade is serrated. The top blade is not. There's a patent, I guess, that Nextool has put on this. These things work amazing. I mean, it would be very difficult for me to do this. I can actually cut my fingernails really easily with this. So this is just, these are phenomenal. These are probably the best little mini EDC scissors I've seen on a mini tool like this. This is just amazing how well these work. And to give you, you don't see the serration in the cut when I'm cutting paper and things like that. It doesn't. It just works better. It's like you have a steak knife on one side and a straight blade on the other, and you get the best of both. And it keeps for a very safe, clean cut. You don't get that with the scissors on the original. So, they still work. You can still, it just doesn't, it's a harder cut for me right now to cut through things. So yeah, these are very impressive in for what they do. There's also a little bit of overlap here. You can see that on the tip. They come over a little bit further than they should. These are very, very precise and very well aligned. They don't go over. There's also a difference. So you can see on both of them, you can adjust the tension on these. And so, but this one comes out a little bit further. So this is probably going to be a stronger hold on here because they have it, basically you can see it extends out beyond the outside of this blade. Yeah, it's pretty nice. This one does not. So, and looks like the blade thickness on both of them, both pairs of scissors, is exactly the same. Let's check it out. And I have 0.07 inches versus 0.07 inches. So both of the blade thicknesses remain the same. The big difference is the serration that you're seeing on the blade on the new F12, which is very, very nice. So I'm really liking these scissors. These are just game changers, frankly, in how the scissors work. They're spring-loaded as well, which is great. Yeah, quite a bit different. These were great, worked well. These are better. And you could probably cut through, nylon and all kinds of things with this. They're really phenomenal. So we'll close that up. Now let's go over to the pliers. Now this is a big deal too on the pliers. So there's a big deal on the scissors. The pliers are an even bigger deal. And here's why. So let's compare them next to each other. Look at the differences in the thickness. And just quite a bit difference. I mean, I think let's take a look at this. We'll do a measurement here. So this is the new one, has a thickness of 0.16 inches, and the old one, 0.14 inches. That's a big difference. Yeah, big difference. Still has precision, the tips are well aligned. Both are spring-loaded, which is great. Both are flush on both sides as far as the rivet goes, the pivot point. So that's fantastic. All right, let's go on further here. Let's take a look at some of these blades. Okay, we already did the file. So next to the file on the original one, we had a 2D Phillips head. So let's pop that out of here. Okay, we got a small, forgot that one. Here's the 2D Phillips on this one. And again, this is using the harder steel on these, but there's also a measuring both centimeters and inches on the new F12 versus the old one. And the Phillips head looks pretty much the same, maybe a little bit. It's hard to tell because this has been polished to a higher finish than this one has, but they look like they're just about the same as far as the Phillips head itself, the 2D. So that's nice. It is not locking, by the way. This one is not locking. All right, let's go over to the other side. This tool is different. It looks like a bottle opener. I don't feel a blade on this side. I think you might be able to use it as, I should have tried this, you might be able to use it as a can opener. I don't think so. It is not a blade here for cutting the top of the can. This might be sharp enough up here. If you've got enough leverage, I could probably check that out, but I think this is supposed to be designated as a bottle opener. And if we take a look at the equivalent on the other side of this one, I don't believe that they have the equivalent of that. That would be, take a look here. Here's the equivalent of what they had on the other one. So this is a bottle opener and a can opener built into it, and this one is just a bottle opener with a smaller flathead screwdriver on the top. So that's the difference between the two. So this is the F12 here, and this is the original. So the big difference in that specific tool. All right, let's take a look over on the other side. All right, we did that. We did all of those. And so the last one was the primary blade, which we already went over. Now, on the back of this handle, on the scissors, you'll see that it was basically just this sheet steel was pushed down. What they've done here on a lot of the points on this is, look at the ends on this. They're all machined and rounded down really, really nicely. It just looks like a cleaner design to it. Let's compare this real quick, and I'll show you another point on this. So there's the back. It's the same back end for each of these. Look at the difference there. So this is the F12. This is the new one. Look at the machining that they've done on this thing. It's just very smooth. It doesn't, get into. This has sharper ends on it that are not rounded and machined the same way. Very, very different. And then the biggest difference of all is that clip. So this pocket clip, when I got it, this is the new F12 with the pocket clip. It actually works pretty well. I had to do a little bit of bending to it to get it on my Levi's just to bring it up a tad. This one does not have the ability to have a pocket clip on it unless you took this off, took out the keychain ring holder, and then attached one separately. You could probably get a supplemental one to do that. I don't know if this screw is going to be long enough, but on this one, but it may be enough to do that. So yeah, but I really love. I've always wanted this one. I've been trying to figure out maybe a deep pocket clip on a chain for this one. But now that they've done this, which I think a lot of people wanted one, this is ideal. It's absolutely perfect. I love the way it sits up really nicely. Here's what it looks like. And it pops in and out very, very easily. So I can use it on my Levi's, and my Levi's are particularly thick around the pocket. It doesn't seem to wear it out extensively, so that's a nice plus to it. Now, here's another interesting part on here, and I'll see if I can show you this in a little bit more detail. On the outside here, this is on the handle of the new scissors. These are the serrated scissors on the F12. This is the new pair of scissors. There is a tiny little piece of plastic here. So this, let me see if I can enlarge this for you a little bit. Now, let's see if I can charge this up for you so you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to hit this with a very bright flashlight very quickly. And then there you go. So it's got a glowing plastic, luminescent plastic on the end of the handle. So when you close this up, if you have it sitting on a night table or something at night and you want to reach over and grab your Nextool for some purpose to fix something that you need randomly fixed in the middle of the night for some reason, you can see it glowing there. So it's a very cool little addition that they had to it. I really like that. It smooths out the end as well. There's no, this sharp end here is gone and replaced by this rounded plastic with the glow-in-the-dark plug on it, which is really nice. Really nice. So overall, I'm just impressed that they, that they did this so quickly. I believe this one came out in 2023. So within 2 years or 1 year, 1 to 2 years, they came out with this new one. And there have been several iterations of versions of these as well that have come out, in between. They've made modifications to this. There were some problems too with the handles on these things breaking off, and they fixed that issue. So Nextool has really been stepping up on the way that they've made their tools. The feedback has been just phenomenal. I mean, I had made suggestions regarding that file, and I don't know if I wasn't the only one that was suggesting that the files are ridiculous that they had on the older version, because they didn't work, frankly. But they finally fixed that. They've come out with other iterations of some of their other tools now. Like this was a recently released S11 Pro. Again, they upgraded the steel on this to similar to what you see on the F12. So I think they started with this one and then said, let's put that on the F12 as well. So this is very cool. This is just, it fits perfectly on the pocket rack like I showed you before. So here's a pocket rack, and it fits perfectly right in there. And you can just pull your band over and lock it in place if you want to have it that way. Or you can just put it onto your pants pocket. It just clips right on. And this is a really nice everyday carry. Very lightweight. Again, it's 79 grams, which is just ridiculous. And having that ability to have almost a full size pair of scissors, as well as a nice pair of small mini pliers already built in. I still like the Knipex better than these, but if in a pinch, if you don't have the Knipex with you and you don't have a kit or something, you just want to walk around and have a nice pair of pliers, these are just great. So I didn't think they could make that big a jump, from the original version, Mini Sailor, to this. So I mean, they've significantly upgraded the pliers. They significantly upgraded the scissors. They significantly upgraded the primary blade. It's just, it's an amazing little tool now. I mean, it's really nicely designed. They've really stepped up. And for a manufacturer to go to this extent, to be listening to their customers and to be flipping these things over so rapidly. Again, this was probably an intermediate design that kind of stepped into this one. It's just impressive. So again, I'm not being compensated for this. I'm not, this isn't a sponsored thing. This is just something, I like their tools. I like the way that they work with my idea about how EDC should work. I like to carry a tool set more than anything else, with tools that really work, and these guys are producing those tools. So we'll see what happens in the future with these guys. But again, the F12 Nextool Mini Sailor, this is just a really, really remarkable technological step up in mini tools, in these micro, tools. It's just really, really impressive. So that's all I've got for you today. I just wanted to get this video out as quickly as possible. Not quite all the bells and whistles that my usual videos have, but this one is, I just thought it was kind of important to get this out. I'm really impressed with Nextool. I think they really stepped up on this particular tool. And if they continue with this philosophy of adapting their gear to what their consumers want, I think that it's kind of a winning combination for all of us. So if you have any comments, I would love to see them in the comment section below. Please feel free to post them. You can drop over to the earthling.com website and leave, there's a bunch of additional information there. You can also leave comments in the article that appears there that supplements with this video. Anyway, thanks a lot for stopping by today. Hope to see you again. Take care.